I have the ghost of Thomas Jefferson, if anyone needs it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really noisy out here tonight. I don't know why. It's Friday night, so welcome aboard. All right, so with each device, just so you guys know, everybody's going to have, your assignment. But this quick intro is to get these devices in your hands at the first location. I will be spending one-on-one time with you. Okay. So with that in mind,
she's just looking out for them.
Oh, I got you.
She's
I'm like, wait a minute, we're missing somebody. But kind of hold on to your questions until we do that one-on-one. So I do my best to get you the quick explanation so everybody knows what's going on. So the first thing we're going to be working with is thermal imaging. So the reason why we use this, obviously, is we're looking for cold spots. So you guys should be able to see me in there. Holy cow, I feel like I'm screaming my head off. So all these cars in traffic. But this is a good spot to start, and you're going to find out why. But anyway, I'm the white, orange, and red guy in there. So that means I'm the warmest thing inside the video. Everything around me should be somewhat blue or black. We are literally looking for those blue or black, the cold spots, to move on their own. With this large size of a party, we're going to try to keep somebody's skin temperature in view at all times. We're going to be the warmest thing out here. The temperature tonight is going to range between 62 to 68 degrees, depending on where we're at. So again, our 97 to 99 degree skin temperature is going to give us a variance of color on the screen. So, Brian, was it? I got it right?
Yeah.
Look at me go. So, Brian, you're going to have this guy.
Perfect.
The way this is actually going to work is you're going to see a blue dot bouncing around the screen, giving you the coldest spot in the frame at that moment. It's going to help you try to find where those cold spots are. You also have a cheat sheet bar here on the right-hand side. It will not be on the video. Okay. So that's kind of like an in-moment thing only. So, but you're going to see a blue dot bouncing around, and you'll kind of get the gist of how all that works. Perfect. So you're also going to keep that camera. It is heavy. You're going to keep this camera to your left at all times. We're going to do some...
left?
Yeah, no. Oh. Just keep it on the left as it's horizontal. Oh, okay. Just don't flip it to the right. So, because it goes to YouTube, and we're going to do a couple of starts and stops, and YouTube doesn't know the flips. Otherwise, I got to give out your phone number, and, because I'm not going to be the guy to blame.
Listen, man, I'm not trying to be this guy, but if some shit moves on this thing, I'm dropping it.
It's insured.
You'll know, because it'll be on the ground, and I won't be here anymore.
Yes, we ate dinner.
Let's see. So, you guys asked about spirit boxes?
Yes.
So spirit boxes are ways for us to communicate with the dead. So these are going to basically create white noise going through all of the FM radio stations at a very quick rate. So these particular spirit boxes actually record the entire session for us without any outside noise and only the radio sweep no matter the volume. So even when it's on mute, it's going to record at a nice even level. What we're listening for on this, I have these slowed down. This isn't TV. This isn't where they're going to just be white noise. I want the radio chatter to come through for you. So I have it slowed down. Song lyrics, DJs, commercials. That's what we're listening for. So with that said, you're going to have a set of earbuds. There's two different ones of these. This is going to be the one that records, so just kind of remember that. It has a little red tag on it, so I know which one. So with that said, you're going to have a set of earbuds. You're going to be the only one that can hear this until I give the recording back to everybody tomorrow morning. So in the event that you struggle with it, it's okay. It's not an easy thing to do, just so you have that idea. But whatever you hear, it's a 50-50 shot. I can tie it to the location of where we are, a person in history I'm talking about, or even something going on with one of us. So again...
So if the little blue dot is like 20 degrees, does that mean
And it's moving. It's jumping all over the place.
Well, the blue dot's going to move
all
the time.
Okay.
But it says it's 23 degrees, and it's not 23 degrees.
But you probably have the sky in view. It doesn't know to measure. So I didn't get to that part yet.
Yeah, my bad, yo. I was excited. I was like, yeah!
I found one!
Next up, Bigfoot.
I think we found our
Ashton was a little worried there.
All right, perfect.
He was convinced very quickly. I don't know
That's
if
okay.
I don't know if you got that. Like,
I got it.
He was ready.
I caught on to it. So you were actually pretty excited about this. So
excited.
So I'm going to actually hand this one off to you. You only have one button to worry about. It's the volume right here.
I'm going to need y'all not
So I'm going to get you a set of earbuds, and the earbuds is right there. So give me 1 sec once I get the other one handed out.
New.
You were already here for that, so you
have to wear the, is it day in here or is it me shirt that I bought?
Have to go through the explanation again.
I'm so excited.
Yours is not recording, so we're going to be reliant on you of what you're actually hearing. So again, the volume is the wheel, not the button.
I mean, I ain't trying to say nothing about me, but I see this group. I'm clearly the hottest thing in this group.
Oh, we got a spirit box. Okay.
You realize
So, set
I'm
of earbuds
here,
for
right?
you.
Yeah, I saw you.
Individually wrapped.
Like 135 pounds less. I'm pretty hot now.
Oh, they You're good.
Not naked though. Not naked.
At our age, no one is.
But I will be.
Sorry, we had to get started with that.
Gotta go see you on it.
We'll fill him in. No worries.
All right.
On
So
the side.
let's move on. So this particular spirit box is going to do the exact same thing, only it's not going to record. It's open air.
And spirits are going to come
So-
through.
No.
Say stuff.
Ashton, this one's going to go to you. Are you so excited? This one is open air. There's no earbuds. So the volume for this guy is on the side of the loudspeaker. You hold it gently to get the volume, and obviously when I'm talking to the whole group, we're going to keep it cool. So and that's so someone else can kind of help out and hear up the feedback. The last spirit box we're going to use is a little different. So Debbie, this one's going to go to you. So how does this one work? This one is going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen, okay? Where those 3 dots are, and it's going to save all those words to a list. Last night's list, they had 76 terms. Here's what I'm going to tell you about the list. We're all adults here but London. This list is 80% bullshit. It doesn't mean anything. The other 20%, again, I'm going to be able to tie it to a location of where we are, a person in history we're talking about, or something going on with one of us.
Okay.
So again, at time, okay, Debbie, where are we at with the list? You just bring that up, and then you'll be able to scroll through it. So it's a little white scroll, and then you scroll, and then just that one only. I don't want to see every word that pops up. I'll punch it. That's it on the spirit boxes.
Not nearly as hot as me, bro.
Let's get other cameras out of the way. All right, gentlemen, names again? Alex. Right. Fine. All right, Alex, we're gonna go with you on this guy. So,
Bad decisions.
this one looks a little bit more high
Very
tech.
accurate.
My wife did cheat on me.
So first off, you should not be able to see me in this camera.
So I'm feeling some kind of
So
way.
it should be pretty dark in there. I know it's a
Thank you.
small screen, but we're going to turn on some lights. So now I should be in a purple pinkish hue. So we're dealing with full spectrum lighting on this guy. So with that said, this is light you can't see with your
Just
own
you
eyes.
wanted to go?
We're looking for things we can't see with our own eyes. So hopefully during the night, we're going to be able to capture some of those things. We're going to do a few starts and stops. We're not going to record the entire night. We're going to go through a ton of batteries that night. We're not going to start recording. I'll give you the cues and show you more about that.
She has a favorite.
Along with that camera, we have
There's a spirit inside of you.
the neuralizer from Men in Black. None of you are going to remember a damn thing. We're working with lasers. So the lasers ensure Alex can see these lasers a whole lot more clear on his camera. So with that said, we are looking for things to go through the camera because you can't see the lasers until something passes through it. So when we find something in there, obviously we have to be able to figure out what's going on. We're going to be using 2 different styles. We use red squares as well. Why do we use both? And we don't cross the streams. I know bad Ghostbusters joke, but it does work here. We go side by side. The red squares, in the event we capture something here, I can put it in 3D software and give you the full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements. So again, that camera sees these lasers a whole lot better than a regular digital camera, so that's why I've been pairing this up with the full spectrum lighting. So
cool.
these both go to you. Lasers stay on the ground and will set at car alarms. So, yeah, you didn't say a word besides your own name, so I'm like, he's got to be somewhat responsible. He didn't come in all hoorah. So,
I feel like you're saying that I'm not responsible.
I didn't say it. Just implied. You were talking to strangers. No, I'm
Some
kidding.
things goes without saying.
It's what I do. I'm very nice. Unless I don't like you, and then I'm not very nice.
Oh, so
Y'all all seem lovely.
you are my multitasker.
Chosen badly. Okay.
There's only 2 things left, so
She is a multitasker. Like, genuinely, really good at it. I need easy jobs.
She's a little ADD. I think she's perfect for it.
yeah, should be just fine.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, so
Super excited.
we're going to use 2 different types of EMF detection tonight. So we're going to be measuring electromagnetic fields. Your top number, anything above 2.5, I want to know what it is. It will take anything from like electrical from buildings or cell phones, things like that. We're still going to use this to try to debunk. In the event Brian finds something on his camera, you and I can debunk what's going on with the ambient temperature probe at the top. The last thing that it has is it has a motion sensor built into it. In the event something actually gets close to the antenna that I just pulled out, it will go off. Granted, I turned it on properly. So if something gets close, it will go off.
Okay.
So we'll talk more about that part.
So excited.
That part at the next location. For now, I'm going to turn off the motion sensor. I want you to just focus on those 2 red numbers for now.
2.5.
You got it.
Is that the only? No, okay, I don't need to worry about the bottom.
Not yet.
Just 2.5.
You got it.
Gotcha.
Last but not least, this is going to kind of help us determine what's going on with your device and any other devices to see what's going on. This one is pretty sensitive. It is just an EMF meter, so Lennon, is your phone on?
Yes, too.
So you guys can see that my phone is making it go into a rhythm or a pulse. We don't want rhythms or pulses to come out of it. We want it to go a little erratic. Yours only goes to 25. If hers goes above 25, we definitely have something going on. So again, yours doesn't make any noise. It literally is a blinky light for you to let us know when it's going on. Okay, I think everybody is now covered. Everybody's got something. Good, because the bag is empty.
I'm so excited.
So.
Me too.
You guys go have fun. Let me know what happens. No, I'm kidding.
We'll be back.
She was all about it. Let's go. We got his gear.
She is very much used to taking charge.
So, let's talk
Hi,
about
I'm her friend.
So what in particular am I listening for?
Yeah.
the song lyrics, the DJs, the commercials.
Okay.
So
See?
whatever
So just
you hear,
words.
right, anything that you hear that come out of it, I will be honest, the things that you guys hear on TV, like the disembodied voices that they put in the center of the screen trying to convince you that's what they heard, most of it is BS.
Yeah.
When you do find a disembodied voice, we find maybe 3 to 5 per year. Like, for these guys to find 3 to 5 in one specific location, yeah, I call BS all the way. So, again, when I do find one, it is legit because I prove it always because I have the software to be able to do that. But this is also an effective method, especially since your guys' ears are not trained to do this every single day, which is why I slowed it down as slow as I can make it. Same thing with yours, Ashton. It is as slow as I can make it. So again, his is open air, so you guys can actually all listen in on his for those of you that don't have the earbud stuff in. So, let's talk about why we're here, all right? You guys are making me talk a lot. I'm going to go through this whole bottle.
I would like one more question. When you say the blue dot's going to move on, is it just a blue dot, or does that mean like a whole blue thing?
Both.
Okay, because the blue dot,
The blue dot is there to help you.
it's
It's just an assist. That's all it is.
There's a curve there.
You got it.
It's Friday night, y'all. For sure.
They threw hazards on really quickly. My reaction time would not be like that.
Yeah, they're.
So Big John's behind me. Some of you said that you ate there already. So Big John. Big John is actually named after Big John Kennedy, a football player for the 1947 New York Giants. What you see now has just been reopened to kind of look like the original Big John. So this was Big John's bar. We sat in the back and used to kind of tell the bartender when the cadets coming over from the Citadel if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink because John knows who they are. He has the bartender throw them out. They leave. They come back the next night, try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's happening and gets up and starts beating the hell out of these guys, right into the floor. A couple of shots go off, and John gets hit in the neck. The bullet lands in the wall of the bar. After being shot, John gets up and goes back to the bar and tells the bartender to get him another beer, gets the 2 guys on the floor and ambulance. On track.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Right side only. Got it.
So, the bullet hole is allegedly still here. That's what's haunting the place. Even if they filled it in with this new renovation, John's blood is still in the building. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, headaches. That's why we start here. This is a heated warning that, fingers crossed, which is why you're here, to deal with paranormal activity. I don't know how it's going for a second.
Wait, stop. You sit where? You sit in the
Front
back.
of a bar.
Oh, sit in the back.
So, if anybody feels any of those symptoms I just mentioned, the nausea, the headache, the dizziness, we need to know immediately so we can move the entire group and get that person to safety. This is a very big deal. I'm not going to say that people have not passed out from this tour in the past. I will tell you a story at our very last stop. And with your look on your face, Debbie, you're going to be the one to remind me to tell the story of what happened to one of my guests about 2 months ago, and it's relevant to the story. So, again, it's a long story at the end, but that extra piece of it really drives it home. So again, it's kind of odd. So let's not talk about our own health because Amanda's getting scared. So she's got that weird look on her face.
I'm a little nervous.
We had a big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't know that, now you do. Every tour down here talks about it. So this is allegedly where the first death occurred. The white mantling you see in the center of the building also goes around to the front on the east face. So a piece of that broke off, struck somebody in the back of the head and killed them. And that was all due from the earthquake. They say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street right here. So I say all of that allegedly because I don't have any proof. It's just one of those things where I need a segue story so everybody's not thinking about getting sick on the tour from what I told you earlier. So it's kind of how that goes. We're just going to let these folks pass by and then we're going to move on. They're not ghosts. I see you testing them.
Yeah, I should have tested those people. They could have been
They could. I
ghosts.
think they were
You gotta
ghosts.
check them all, right?
Alright, we are actually going to go up that way and cross the street. You guys will see me cross over there just to kind of see out of there.
Little noses.
I'll keep controlling.
That's because you're crazy. You got the Michelin.
Okay, I can't help it. Okay, do you realize what we went through growing up?
Yes, I do.
have every reason to be crazy.
Yes, I do. I went through the same thing.
Oh, I'm getting stronger. Look at she went over to crazy.
I'm supposed to be doing this, really.
You done talked about your little apartment, Brian's apartment with his ghost. Dan's got a whole ghost.
Alright, so we're already getting a little bit of EMF. I'm going to explain all of that here in just a moment before everybody gets too stoked and excited about it. So, because that's usually what happens. Everybody starts, what do we do? What do we do? I'm like, I haven't explained it yet. Let me get there. Don't cart before the horse. So, welcome to the Big Red Barn lot. I want you guys to think of your entire time with me as kind of a ghost hunting 101. This is your level 1. This one's going to be super, super easy. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. This is just for me in London to literally bounce around with all of you and show you more tactics with your device. Granted, do we get activity here? We sure do, obviously. We got something going on already. But we're going to talk a little bit more about your devices. The history here is super simple. First off, you guys should know this is the Palmetto Carriage Works. This is where we keep the horses for the carriage rides. You guys can probably smell them already. I'm immune to it because I'm down here 6 nights a week. So the history here is really simple. This is where we kept the horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. With every story I tell you tonight, I will slow down on key words. So over there, it was 1947, New York Giants, Big and John, anything related to a bar. Over here, let's talk about spirit boxes. We have 4 of them in play tonight. Spirit boxes, this is not television and YouTube. This is not, is somebody here? Like everybody wants to ask. Because if somebody says no, somebody's here. So we stay away from yes and no questions all night long.
Like essay questions? Are we good with essay questions or not?
It's all about trying to find the specific details. So these are not multiple choice, no essays. Got onto the joke a minute late, but I got it. So threw me off. So we're gonna ask questions here of where you already know the answers. If somebody's here, tell me what color the Big Red Barn is. Obviously, we're gonna be looking and listening for the color red. When I say looking, we have a digital word list that's gonna be spitting off words from time to time. The rest of you have spirit boxes that give you words. The word red might not be in the DJ's or song lyrics vocabulary at that particular moment, but take, for example, fire truck, blood, heart. Those 3 things are specifically words. So that would be an acceptable answer to me. We're also near Big John's. A lot of times I'm going to require 2 specific clues from spirit boxes and or other devices to let me know what's going on to verify it. For example, let's say you get the word art on your digital word list and you hear the number 40. Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. Do you see where I have to get those double clues to figure it out? 40 means nothing by itself, and art could be actual art. Most of the stories tonight are going to have multiple people with same names. Lots of Charleses, Elizas, and Georges, so Johns, just so you guys know. We need to know who the hell we're talking to and why. So that's kind of the whole point of this. So spirit boxes, in the event you don't get an answer about what color is the Big Red Barn, try something a little bit more open. What's inside the Big Red Barn? Anything related to a horse or stable would pretty much be acceptable. So, a couple of rules here. Looks like the Big Red Barn isn't actually closed up all the way yet. Lasers cannot be on that building. So, Mike, this is where you get the shine and not get us in trouble. Lasers will set off car alarms, so they cannot be on cars. You are literally going to point them down and maybe 3 to 5 feet out in front of you, and you're basically going to trail them with your camera. London's gonna show you a little bit more about your camera and how to turn it on. You remember how to turn it on? No? Okay, well, the camera's okay. That one's a relatively new device, and I wanted her to get more practice, but apparently she hasn't been down here long enough to be able to know what
Sorry,
she's
I
looking
haven't
for.
been here in 2.5 months.
Yeah.
There's stuff going on.
No worries. So, we do have a little bit of EMF going on. So, Amanda, do you have anything with your device at all? Any numbers? A simple
The
number.
bottom number. Oh, 2.1.
All of
And
a
then it
sudden.
went back to 0.
That's why they call it ghost hunting. They're not going to stand still and say, hi, I'm right here. So, again, we're going to be moving around. We are not going to go near vehicles. So, cameras will stay with me, just so I can show them both a little bit more about their devices. Because I know Brian's going to have way more questions.
Way more questions.
Please don't break your butt.
Don't hold it on the left. Got that?
So spirit boxes, feel free to spread around. London, I want you to kind of help out Ashton with his first. Kind of give him the gist just in case you have trouble with the button and all of that. All right, so everybody else, let's spread out. We're going to stay within the confines of this slot. If you have a camera, you're going to stay behind with me, and Mike is going to stay behind with you with Lane.
Stand behind him.
John got shot in the neck. Yeah.
That's why we have.
And we also have loud. All right, so cameras. I'm going to start off with thermal. Let's get his questions out the way. So the blue dot again is there to assist you only. It's not
Right.
going to be like, oh my God, it's a ghost right here.
No, I get
What
it.
I'm also looking for. So take for example where you have the crosshairs. Do you see the
Right.
blue blob right above it?
Yep.
Now I know that that's the back windshield, but let's say
Right.
it all obviously just takes a little bit of shape, or it gets darker in color, like closer to black. Obviously something is manifesting there, and you're going to keep your camera steady on it. So that blue dot will probably automatically go to that, especially if it's growing colder, and that way I can freeze frame it and get the temperature difference. I normally look anywhere between 15 to 30 degrees of temperature difference before I'm like, okay, what is this going on? And again, with what you have there in a high and a low, you want to try to keep the sky out of view if you can. It's
Right.
difficult, and try to keep a person's skin in view at the same time. Again,
Yeah.
I know there's
You
a
did
lot.
tell me that, yeah.
There's a lot that goes on with this camera. But again, will you capture something tonight? I hope so. Is it something that captures something every night? No. I honestly get about 3 to 4 solid pieces per year. But I won't catch it unless we're recording.
Okay.
When I tell you that we're going to stop the recording, you're going to hit the orange square. And then when I say let's start it back up again, make sure the camera's on the left. And then you're going to hit the circle that it turns into to get the video started back up again.
Gotcha.
So experiment with it here. People do not like their cars being filmed. If somebody goes to their car, you're going to go the opposite way.
Gotcha.
Again, if I was a car thief, that would be my first tool. So,
Gotcha.
because I know how long every car has actually been here. And you guys are already on it. Perfect. Are you right or left-handed? Is that a comfortable space for you?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, I mean, and if you have to and you want to switch hands, just muscle it a little bit and go the opposite way, and that way you can switch hands. So, completely up to you when you want to do that. And then if you want to tighten it, it's down here at the bottom. So just righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, you get the gist of that. So with your particular camera, you're working with 2 different lights. First off, you're working with short range and long range. In the event somebody gets too close and we're kind of in a crowd and it starts to bleach out, you can turn off the short range and the long range is still working for you.
Oh, I see.
So you still have, and again, I'm not looking for things in the purple vlogs when I'm watching your video tomorrow morning, because you're going to get all this recorded stuff back, just so you guys know. You guys kind of missed that part. By the way, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. But again, I'm looking for things in the darkness. Like this thing will actually capture things kind of flying by the camera that's in the darker areas that aren't supposed to be there. So notice on my arm doesn't show up.
Is it going off on me? Do I have a ghost on me?
I think you're a ghost.
Yeah, I think so too.
Check that out.
It's because I'm dead inside.
You gave up the ghost already.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what on?
I'm not saying anything. I'm gonna have to keep people in the thing.
All right. Anything heard on your spirit box?
Nothing significant.
What are you supposed to like see?
Oh shit.
Honestly, I thought you were like a bad guy over here, but to mug us off.
Well, that's cool because I was videotaping y'all and I was looking on the finger, and that dude just walked past. I was like, "Holy shit! Holy shit!"
Do not drop the thing.
Again?
By the way, Maddie, super serious about that.
Oh yeah. I didn't know, or I probably wouldn't have brought her. I didn't know. Maddie's kind of a dork. Me and Maddie, we're gonna go back Bigfoot squatching. We're going squatching. Maddie, do the squatch L. Squatch L when we were going to go squatching.
Oh yeah.
My grandson would love that. He's a big fan.
We're going through the mountains.
Yeah.
And we're going to do the call.
Oh yeah.
That's what.
Have you been to Marion, North Carolina?
Yeah, really.
Have you? You've been to Marion, right?
He has to see him super serious. Marion? Yeah, it's been a while.
You
They
go
have
to the
the-
Sasquatch Festival?
No, I have
They
not.
have the Bigfoot Festival every
I
year.
didn't know that.
Bigfoot Festival.
I'm videotaping on the ground. Yeah, it's like I'm
I'm not feeling upstairs.
You say what? Said you feeling what?
You want to do the honey dog?
No, I think
The dessert bar? It's 4.2.
Went all the way up to red.
I'm not surprised. Okay, so keep tallies on the 4.2 for me, so I don't forget to write it down. Welcome to another beautiful side of Charleston. You're in another parking lot. So, again, I go to the places that the other tours won't go to because there's nothing to see. We're here to actually investigate. This place used to be something. This used to be the Pinkney Mansion site. This was home to Eliza and Charles Pinkney. Their mansion. You look very excited.
That makes sense. Why I heard
Other households, because they had 17 different properties all over Charleston. So, their mansion actually sat in the front of this lot, facing East Bay Street, broad. And we're going to talk a little bit about housing and the way the houses are set up down here. Why they're having a broadside house on East Bay is a big deal. But Eliza's garden was lined up right behind Five Church Restaurant, came all the way across, and we are standing where the servant and slave quarters used to be. So,
I just heard it just sat there.
we'll have a lot coming through here, I'm sure. So, Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles, and they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses, just in case you lost track. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal. They were both raised here. However, you guys, most of you are on vacation and don't want to talk about politics, and neither do I. London is not in school right now, so we won't talk about the Constitution, will we?
No,
So,
we won't.
with that, let's talk about Eliza. She's way cooler. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not 1700s standards. So just keep that in mind. I'm not going to give you what that number is. Also keep in mind, I'm not going to be giving you question spirit box, folks. Like, what color is George Washington's white horse? You're not going to have the answers from me here. You're going to get the answers from your spirit boxes. Okay? So what I will tell you about Eliza's age when she got married is that Charles was over double her age. So that kind of gives you the gist of what kind of numbers you're going to be listening for. With that said, she married him because her father over in England thought he was dying. He wanted to see all of his kids one last time, and she didn't think he was dying. She stayed put. This is 1744. There's no such thing as citizenship or a green card. So, she married this guy out of love. And then, yes, she did remain a widow after his passing. I'm going to give you that to prove the point that, yes, she married him for love, and there's no reason to ask questions about an affair, because there wasn't one. Most people want to go into that, and there really wasn't one. But anyway, with that said, she was right. Dad got better. He didn't die right away. So instead, he starts sending her gifts over from England to this spot. One of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. You guys have been here for at least a few hours that I know of, or some of you actually live here. You've seen the word indigo before, I promise you. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. That's how we use it today. It started right here. Here's the interesting thing. Indigo was already here from our slave trade. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it going in our obviously not warm temperatures all the time. So once she had that going for her, she moved it up to another plantation in Mount Pleasant, and that's where she called her father and said, hey, I need somewhere to sell this because the rice plantations are going downhill. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. This is a huge piece of the beginning of our country because it helps save our colonies. So let's talk about the weird stuff about Eliza, because that's why y'all are here. Paranormal stuff is weird, right? So Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles. Ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. If you want to find out which Eliza you're talking to, ask what her maiden name is. Hopefully you'll get a maiden name that starts with the letter L, and I'll be able to verify that for you. Obviously, I told you about the ages when she got married. You can ask about the mansion.
7.4.
That's a good number.
This doesn't tell you numbers?
You can scream them up. I would say hang on to them until I get through stories.
Oh, got you.
Yeah.
The mansion's not here. You can ask what happened to it, and then when did that tragedy happen. So yes, I'm giving you the clue that it was a tragedy. So kind of keep that in mind. The children. I told you there's at least one. His name is Charles, signer of the Constitution, right? There's more. Ask how many, get their names, leave it alone. There's a tragedy among those kids that she usually, if we poke the bear too hard, all activity, including EMF spikes, will stop. I've seen it dozens of times, and I'll kind of know if somebody went too far. And then I'll be honest, most of your night will be ruined. I don't know how she gets in touch with the rest of my stories, but I've seen where activity literally stops here, just because somebody poked the bear and pissed her off. So, again, you do want to address her directly. You want to say, hey, Eliza, or Miss Eliza, however you want to speak to a woman from colonial times. About Eliza's death, ask anything you want to. Eliza, how old were you when you died? Where did you die? What did you die from? And which U.S. president was a pallbearer at your funeral? These are all very specific questions, non-yes and no questions, and not essay questions either. They're usually 1 to 2 word answers. So, with that, I think I've given you all enough to get yourself started. We're going to stay away from cars in here. There's a lot of vehicles in here, so it doesn't give us a whole lot of open space in the middle. Keep in mind, this is also the only entrance and exit to this location. So, cars sometimes will fly in here trying to find a parking space. So just be mindful of your surroundings. This is where I check you guys in and kind of give everybody a head start, and then I start bouncing around with everybody, and then start writing down some of the things we're getting, like 7.4s. And obviously, you've gone all the way to red, which is 25, like you're maxed out. So again, you can turn up your spirit box over here for sure, Ashton. You're not going to be disturbing any ponies. Watch your lasers, please and thank you. And again, you can go ahead and start your video for sure. So let's get, I definitely want to make sure you're going to be up and running for the night before we actually fully get started. So let's spread out, let's have some fun. Let's get some answers from Eliza. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting your name. Maddie. I have a feeling you're probably going to be hearing quite a bit out of yours.
So where exactly did the house sit? Like right where we're standing?
No,
or?
this is the slave and servant quarters back here. Right in front of us is where the garden was, all the way across, and the mansion was towards. seem to be a little angry tonight. Somebody's kind of coming through and looking at what the hell we're doing. Just kind of like you're holding a cell phone.
Yeah, I got you.
All right.
Like it's so stretched out.
Wow. What'd you do? I just broke the bone.
Shine it like.
I gotta keep somebody in the screen.
Oh,
Though.
you do?
Yeah, they told me to keep somebody's skin in the screen at all times.
I'm gonna ask. Eliza, when did the house burn down?
Her numbers are all maxed out.
I got
Eliza's over there.
Okay, but I don't see Eliza over there, girl. Everybody's butt's up.
Anything else pop up before I follow up with somebody else? You just had that dazed look like you had.
No, I'm just listening. It keeps playing the same song over and over, though.
But what song?
It's a song by Lord Huron.
That's the spirits.
I'm sure when I see the blue light of the battery flying across the parking lot means you found something.
Found something. How you doing?
What do you see?
No. I'm not going to answer.
what you wait for is those 100%. This is the one piece I told you where I normally have 2 people using it, so that way you guys can verify it. The other one's still recording. I'll be able to verify tomorrow. This one's not recording, so that's why I have the open air speaker on it. Big John's birthday.
Something happened in December.
Sorry, I'm thinking. I'm looking up, thinking. I want to say Big John's birthday is in September. We're only
I
one month.
heard
It's a
55,
good possibility we get things.
and I heard Panic, and then I heard, this right here. I keep hearing things about Christianity. I heard Christianity.
September 5th.
Big John's birthday? September.
Probably because me and Amanda here.
Changed who I was. I just heard changed who I
Again, without
was.
another clue.
What?
This is probably because me and Amanda are here. You said Christianity changed who I was.
Not all together, it's separate.
Are you gonna go tell him?
It seems busy.
Keep the name Thomas in
I heard come, like, when I walked towards over there and I heard come back. So I, like, turned around and walked over
How's it going?
here. Are you, what number are you reading?
I got nothing right now. Huh. Which is weird because I've been seeing the next car.
Y'all are so
I'll let you know when it's done.
fun.
How we
She's
doing?
hearing shit.
What you got?
I heard a couple of different things. So I asked her when the tragedy happened. I didn't really hear much, but like much later I heard 55, the number 55, and then a few sevens separately, and then like an 8. And then I keep hearing over and over like different words about Christianity. I heard Christianity.
Okay.
I heard,
We're getting a lot of religious terms here tonight.
yeah, I heard like God, and then I heard,
It's
What
because
else?
she's a preacher's wife. That's what it is. I'm not her.
and then I kind of walked towards that entrance and I heard come back. And then I keep asking her like what happened here. And I don't hear much.
So last night there was a theme of sevens, and I could not truly find a tie to all of the sevens that like really came up here. But there was 3 different types of sevens that popped up.
I also heard 2008 together, but I don't know if that would be significant to anything.
Now the only thing I can see on that, Eliza's birthday was December 28th. But that's really stretching, taking up double
Yeah,
zeros.
yeah.
I don't see that coming together like that. So interesting, but yeah, definitely good stuff. Especially when you get directives like come back or in the back or up front. You know, we hear things like that all the
Because
time.
I was really walking towards the entrance, like looking.
And then it basically said turn around, come back
Yeah.
over here. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna give Ashton another minute because they were actually getting a few things to come through. I'm gonna pull everybody to the back again with one more quick round robin and kind of give everybody the answers. I'm not gonna leave you guys hanging. All this stuff is going to give you guys answers and all these things.
I just heard the future is uncertain. Why are you videoing me?
Because I gotta keep somebody's skin in it. I gotta keep a person in it. That's what he said. I always have a person in view.
What exactly are you looking for?
Everybody to the back.
Do you know?
With any of these blue dots, so that's always the coldest place. So the coldest, see how it's jumping?
Yeah.
That's the coldest place. If any of those like move, not jump,
Amanda.
but like move or change shapes or. Hey man, roundabouts will fix it, bro. I don't know what you got going on, and I ain't here to cry. You got some HEPA laws. But she tell you, Okay. So, man, I probably got some antibiotics at the house I left over.
He said Tesla. He don't have that.
Oh, it is.
Just skipping through. There's certain places where it actually gets a little, like it's weird, just the way the antenna works. So first off, everybody, this is what Eliza looked like. So this is a woman that you all were trying to speak to. Brian, you can actually turn off your video, kind of give your hands a break.
Okay, cool.
It's considered a quiet area because it's a hotel. So this is kind of a brief stop, kind of gives us the layout of the land. Nice to see I didn't lose anybody to the bar. Just telling bridal parties, they usually, if they're a little tipsy, they're not making it this far. So too much history for them. So anyway, welcome to Lodge Alley, guys. This is a very interesting space. The last crosswalk we crossed over, that was where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. So we are on one of the very first streets in Charleston. So this is Lodge Alley. Obviously, it wasn't always called Alley. This was a street. This was a street. People lived here. So these two giant buildings were not here. We had little tiny shotgun houses here. I have a full list of residents of every person that's ever lived down here. Did we hear any names along the way? Those people here, no names at all?
I heard Smith.
Smith.
But there's a lot of
earlier.
We did hear Smith earlier. I want to say there was one Smith that lived down here. I'll have to verify that. The names I commonly hear are Benjamin and John. You're walking on Belgian blocks. They're pure granite. There's a theory in the paranormal field called the stone tape theory. Stone tape theory basically states that things this strong to the earth, like granite and limestone, hang on to the consciousness of the memories of things of the past. So with that said, I hear the names Benjamin and John about every 6 to 7 weeks, like I'm catching the tail end of a 6 to 7 week long movie. Every once in a while, a third name will pop up, Jane. All three of these people lived here in 1801. It's not coincidence that I get the same names over and over and over again. Now, with that said, there weren't many people that lived here in 1801. This is a strange alley. I'll review the footage. London, take a look at his camera for me, please.
I need you to stay still, Lynn.
This is a very odd alley. London will debunk it pretty quickly. She knows how to use that camera. That one.
I mean, it looks like her, but that's
The
her.
other thing about this alley,
And you see that,
4
right?
people lived here.
That's an outline of, like, the white lines are outlines of the objects.
It's offset.
Okay,
just
so
a
I'm
hair.
just stupid? Okay, I
No.
got it. There was someone standing
There's
behind you,
always
Lynn.
Right behind me.
Amanda, just so you know, there's always one. There's always one heckler in my group. Every single
I'm not
time.
trying to be a heckler, but there was like a
Right
dude.
behind me.
It would definitely be him. And I will be nice. I will play both
One
sides.
Smith.
I'll
So we do
don't
have a
mind.
Smith.
William Smith. He
William.
was a mariner.
So, if we have any terms related to fishermen or anything like that, before people lived here, this is where the Freemasons had their Masonic lodge, hence the name Lodge Alley. So, we do get a lot of strange terms around that, including the words Freemason, Mason, brick, clay. I haven't gotten granite yet, but I have had the word Illuminati show up here several times. So, yeah, you have to chuckle every time you hear it too. It's like, damn.
Now you're talking my game.
So,
Now you're talking my game.
very interesting space indeed. This place also had an archaeological dig done to it. They did find some of the silverware and tools and clothing from the people that lived here, and they were able to classify them as lower class. It makes sense because the other side of the wall would have been across the street of East Bay Street, the street we just came down. So the smell of low tide would have been coming through here often. I told you guys about the broad side of the Pinkney Mansion site. Have you guys been down to the Battery yet to see that the houses are skinny and go back long? You were taxed on basically on how much sidewalk you took or how much street side you had. So the skinnier it was, the less you were taxed. That's why they went long. The Pinkneys were outside the city walls. So therefore, they're going to go broad, and they don't care how much you're going to tax them because we're talking about a family of prominent politicians. They don't care. They'll pay it. They're going to show off their house. So that's kind of the reason why I said them going broad on East Bay Street was a huge deal back then because you just didn't do that here in Charleston. You went skinny and long, so that way you weren't taxed as high. What's going to happen from here, we're going to walk through the rest of the alley. We're going to cut through a neighborhood. So once we leave this alley, cameras off for sure. I'm literally taking you on the brink of where tour guides are allowed to take you. We're going to go to another alley. I can't take you through it because yes, I've been kicked out of it because you joined the annoying tour with all the noise boxes and gizmo lights. So I do show off that alley because first off, it's beautiful. Second off, it has an amazing story. And third off, we get evidence from it, I would say at least 4 out of 6 nights a week. So as I tell you the story, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about, how many keywords can come out of this story. There's a lot that comes out of it. So for some of you locals, you should probably already know the story. It's the story of the whistling doctor from Philadelphia Alley. If you don't know the story, it's a good one. After that, we're going to go deep dive into a female pirate over at the Power magazine. Full-on investigation like what we did at the Pinkney Mansion site. Granted, on how many words show up on Debbie's word list, sometimes I tell stories in between if there's other clues to tell me I need to tell other stories from that corner. That corner has about 15 ghost stories attached to it. Again, I wait for the list to tell me which one I need to tell. So I'll be following up with you quite a bit. But again, we're going to talk about Philadelphia Alley. I'm kind of waiting for her to lullaby. So then that way we can kind of go through this and not lose her. But that's usually, I like to give you the gist of what we're about to go through. We are going to see other large tours. There are 20 people in those tours. It is Friday night. We're probably going to run into a lot of them. We're going to stay out of their way. Some of them even try to stop you and tell you what we're doing is not the real deal, that they only know the real stories. Guys, come on. It doesn't get any more real than this. So, have fun with this. Hey, welcome back.
I'm sorry, my baby needed to kiss me goodnight. If I'm leaning against that wall, is it supposed to pick up like crazy insane?
It'll pick up stuff from the electrical
Oh,
lines.
got you. Okay.
So,
They were like 187. I was
That's
concerned. Mom was
super
kissing
high.
my baby goodnight.
that's really,
And then it went just lines across the top.
that's an error mode.
Okay.
So, the highest I've ever seen that thing, there was 198 and it was an error. I left the room with the investigation and was doing it back in and gave me another 198 and an error mode and went back to see something. Nothing else happened. Great. It's the highest I've ever
Okay,
seen.
it was just doing like 187 and 145.
Holy cow. That's like your microwave on full blast with the door.
So I'm not picking up a ghost. I'm just picking up things.
No, it's a possibility of like we can let the blast rock it.
Oh.
These lines might go to 80 or 90 unless it makes sense.
Titus did tell me it was super cool. But okay. He's fine. And then he had to tell me about a haunted house. I don't know. It was a lot. I was very distracted when I first started.
All right, let's go check out Philadelphia Alley. Remember, at the end of the alley, cameras off.
Walking, I heard like follow me.
Follow me?
No, follow you.
So it was picking up like an outline of her.
Did you pick up the ghost that I was picking up? 'Cause
No,
it
that was the
really
microwave.
high. He said it was not a microwave.
Yeah.
So it looked like there was somebody standing behind Lynn, but it was like the outline of Lynn. It looked like Lynn was standing behind Lynn. That's what it looked like. Because you were hot.
What did
but
she
then,
say
like, the
that it
color-
was?
She said that it was just the outline of Lynn.
We have a twin sister that died before birth, right?
What? Oh my God! Don't say that.
Chigger, not you.
No, that was my sister.
Oh.
But she was 3 days old.
Can you not break your knee or anything?
Well, I'm trying, but I gotta keep this camera like up. Yeah, I can't look when I'm walking. It's cobblestone. Anyway. I need you to stay in the thing though, so I can pick up your screen. I'm not seeing anything.
First off, any other phrases besides look underneath? Surprise, this is just phrases on your end, Debbie?
No, just up.
Anybody else with any other phrases that you may have heard? Okay. All right, so this is our final place. I'm going to point out a few things first before we dive into the pirate story. First off, the steeple over here. This is obviously a church. It's the tallest steeple we have. It has been affected by our earthquake of 1886. It leans slightly left. That is St. Phillips Church. There are two different sides to the cemetery that belongs to that church. Right behind me is what we call the western side. Across the street is obviously the eastern side. We do get a lot of religious terms around here. We did hear the word church, not to mention that's the name of this street right here, Church Street. Obvious reasons for St. Phillips, biggest steeple. The two different sides of the cemetery, across the street is for native Charlestonians only. If you're from here and belong to the church, you can get buried over there. Charles Pinkney, Eliza's husband, is buried over there. Just so you know, I have gotten clues related to him, including the word promise, and if you get that word, I will tell you why. Over here on this side behind me, we have our 7th Vice President, John Calhoun. We do get the number 7 over here several times. It could mean two different things depending on what else is attached to it. The doctor I just spoke of back in Philadelphia Alley has a birthday of July 7th, 7-7. So if we hear 7 twice and the name Brown or anything like that relating to the doctor, obviously it's related to him. If we get anything like John and the number 7, it's obviously related to our 7th Vice President. So kind of keep that in mind. You can visit his sarcophagus during the daytime. They have moved him several times because they didn't know if he was actually from here, just so you guys know. He landed on this site. He's not from here, he just lived here. So he's not well liked around these parts of town, so just kind of keep that in mind too. They did take down his memorial last December, not this year, but last year. So the story that every ghost tour will tell you, in the event you go to another ghost tour, they all stop in front of that church. It's their big finale. I'm going to tell you why. That side of the church has a sign in front of the cemetery that says there's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost. There's a reason for that story. 1888, a young lady by the name of Sue Howard Hardy dies 6 days after her stillborn child. We just talked about initials with Mr. Ralph Isaacs by the alley. Sue's initials, SHH. I wouldn't say that cheesy and corny thing if I haven't actually seen it and heard it for myself. So again, it does show up here often. Now, 1987, a local photographer is in town taking pictures of all of our cemeteries. He captures a full apparition inside one of his photographs and cannot debunk it. He has to send it over to Kodak. I don't have to explain what Kodak is to this group. That's wonderful. So, just be surprised. Some of the kids look at me like, what the hell's a Kodak?
What is that?
Is that a bear? But anyway, so they can't figure out what the picture is either. However, the picture is cursed. I'm going to show you the picture, but I'm going to ask that you do not touch the tablet at any way, shape, or form. Females that touch or handle this picture, even on digital formats, like my tablet, they're going to get the same symptoms like I told you about at Big John's. Females that are pregnant and holding it, obviously not a good pregnancy based on the gist of the story. Keep in mind what my profession is. I'm very superstitious. So,
She's pregnant, so she's backing up.
do you want me to not show it? I can not show it. That's fine.
Just turn around.
Or just, I don't
Yeah, just turn
Somebody
around.
else want to see the picture?
I want to see it.
I'm with you. I don't
Okay.
want to
I want to see it.
I don't want bad juju.
I think I've seen it, but I'm down to see it again. I've already got bad juju.
So the picture, again, this is the full picture. I'm going to make my way around. That's the apparition. Those are her shoulders. There's a baby basket next to her.
Oh, wow.
So you can imagine if you're having your vacation and 9 months later, I'm not going to be the guy that you call because I cursed your family. So her shoulders and the baby basket. So again, that's what he captures in this picture. All right, come on over. You're good.
It's going.
Luckily, I'm not superstitious. I'm only a little stitious.
Not super.
So I actually just, with the tablet thing, this tablet thing is new. So it was kind of like I wanted to start getting you guys some visuals with Eliza in the house and all that stuff. So that way you just didn't wait till the next day. It actually kind of heightens up the tour. And I was like, let me add the picture. If it starts to draw more attention than it should, I'll take it out. So let's talk about pirates, shall we? Does that make it a little bit happier? Let's talk about pirates. All right. So this is kind of a crazy story. So follow me. There's a lot of twists and turns. The first thing is I need to point out the building right behind you. That's the powder magazine. That's the building with the crosses on it. It's the smaller portion in the front. First off, those are not crosses, those are earthquake bolts. The gist behind earthquake bolts is that they're turnbuckles. In the event we have another earthquake like we did in 1886, which we haven't, not to that magnitude, you can tighten up those turnbuckles slowly and it'll straighten the building back up again. It's a great theory that just doesn't, just so you know. The only reason I point them out is because they're the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in because this is the oldest government building in town. So, whole city, oldest building we have as far as government owned. Now, it is 3 blocks away from the water. I told you guys about the Charlestown walls earlier, at Lodge Alley. That street behind you is where the wall was. It went up past the powder magazine about half a block and started going south behind me towards the battery. So we're still locked into the Charlestown walls. It's in the corners being protected. Cannonball tries to attack it from the water. It's going to have a hard time getting through the 32-inch thick walls. Let's say it does. It goes all the way through and blows up the gunpowder. The The gunpowder is not going to go out through the walls because they're too thick. It's going to go up. Underneath those red shingles that you see, there's sand from the beach from 1712 that's supposed to blow up with the gunpowder and then fall to put up flames of the gunpowder. It's another great theory that doesn't work. So we had another powder magazine closer to the battery, sand went up, building burned to the ground. So it doesn't exist anymore. This one's never been attacked. That's why it's still intact. It did serve in 7 different wars, including the Civil War. Just so you know, that was its last service. It's a museum now. It costs like $5 to check out the artillery that served in those wars. Not that I'm an advocate for the museum, but it is a very cool place. And if you want to get out of the cold or heat, it's a great place to get it. So anyway, the reason why we're here is because during the time it took to make this building, which is a government building, so this small building took 10 years. Does that sound like our government? Not at all. So our story begins right in the middle of it, which means this building is what I call a familiar, which is why we're here. It's a great possibility we can capture something here. It's a great possibility we could have nothing. So, young lady moves here in 1708 during the construction of this building. She's about 8 or 9 years old. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. You guys with me so far? The 3 of them are running away from his angry husband. You guys follow me? I'm talking 1708 up this top of the sheet, just saying. But anyway, they land in the Georgetown area. Dad buys a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly, so he has to start sending young Anne down to Charlestown to sell anything from the plantation and anywhere that they have. So that's why we're here. Now, we're going to fast forward. 1713, the building's done. 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne is excited. Rumor had it back home in Ireland, she actually killed one of her servants when she was a little girl, smaller than London, by killing him with a knife to the belly. Just kind of crazy. So, 1715, when the pirates are here, she's stoked. She falls in love pretty quickly. The guy's name is James Bonny. James is a filthy pirate, and Dad just doesn't approve. They move to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormac becomes Anne Bonny, your most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. Her career started right where you're standing, in Charleston. So, when she gets down there, this is not Captain Jack Sparrow. This is not the guy she wanted. This guy's a privateer. He's a coward in her eyes. He's a spy for the British. So a few years later, she falls in love again. His name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Much cooler name, has his own ship. It's called Calico Jack because he wears the jackets of the men. He's a very dapper, filthy pirate, and she wants to be part of his crew. Females curse pirate ships. You cannot have a girl in a crew. He makes a deal. You dress like one of the guys and hide your gender, you can become part of the crew. She's okay with the cross-dressing because Dad used to hide her back home and dress her up like a boy to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, I'm a pirate now, let's do this. She's allowed to be a female in his quarters. Let's put 2 and 2 together. She eventually gets pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate guy on the crew. So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby, come back later, we'll figure it out. So she goes, she has the baby, returns with no kid. You have no idea what happened to the child. She's also dressed like a female. She no longer gives a shit about hiding her gender anymore. This makes Jack pretty mad. You know her mentality, right? She killed a servant. She's gonna go make him even more mad. He just captured another pirate crew, and she's gonna go flirt. Because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3, in case you lost track. The guy she's flirting with turns out to be a female, just like a guy to be part of the crew the Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females doing the exact same thing all over again. Ashton, you want to try to say that 3 times fast? I dare you, man. He's like, I saw the head roll. Like, holy shit! How did he just do that? So anyway, she convinces this young lady. Her name is Mary Read to become part of the crew. The British find out where they are. They send their entire fleets to capture 1 pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 men not drunk enough to come up and fight with 1 bullet muskets. Obviously, the whole ship's going to get taken. As they're being arrested, Anne's last words were to Jack, where you should have fought like a man instead of going down like a dog. Dog will show up here just in case you didn't figure that one out. The judge, his name is Nicholas as well. When you hear my name, it's not me, it's the judge. So he wants to see the 2 men who fought back by themselves. So he takes Calico Jack and all the other crew and tries them, hangs them, they're dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front, they reveal their gender trying to save themselves. You don't care. They're still pirates. They're still gonna hang them. We plead our bellies was the last thing they said, trying to save themselves one final time, meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. You cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It is illegal. So, he says, fine, we'll send you both back to jail. We'll delay it until our pregnancies are over. Dad is still here in Charleston with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne. She remarries again, guy number 4, because yes, we're counting Mary Read. Has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. That's all we know. As far as Mary Read goes, she died a year later in jail, not knowing if the pregnancy was true or not in 1721, from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. I'm sure it was bumpy and gross and scurvious and whatever other STD kind of control, whatever you can come up with. So, very interesting space. In this place, you can ask whatever you want to as far as spirit boxes. We are going to, again, I'll be honest, a few weeks ago I actually got kicked out of here too because there was a giant wedding going on and somebody from the church came over and said, we're not doing tours over here anymore. I'm like, yes I am, because this is one of my hotspots. So here we are. Those of you with cameras, if you want to go to the front of the building, you can. The only thing I ask is that you stay out of the way of the other tours. You kind of keep that in mind. You can shine your lasers in the front lawn. Do not go above the lawn, because if you do, you're going to be in somebody's living room. Those are apartments. Past it. 2 questions for spirit boxes. What's the name of Calico Jack's ship? And the name of Anne Bonny's parents. Everything else you want to ask, fair game. Ask whatever the hell you want to. You're not going to piss her off. She's already a badass pirate. Now, there is a story here. I told you where somebody passed out. Thanks. Good job, Debbie. You reminded me. So, Ashton's like, where did this guy come from? Where did we even find this guy? So, a couple of months ago, I'm telling the story right exactly where we are right now, about a group of 7. And before I tell the story, a young man turns white as a ghost, no pun intended, falls to the ground. Me and his boyfriend pick him up by the shoulder, underneath the arm. We take him over to the wall over there, right next to the powder magazine. I send his boyfriend over to go get him a bottle of water, making sure he's okay before I tell the story. He's all good to go. He says, I'm fine, let's just do this. Tell the story. I sent everybody out with their devices and questions and whatever. They're still sitting on the wall and said, Nick, we need to tell you something. What's going on? We are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as men on my tours. I just told you the story of Anne Bonny and Mary Reed, who were dressed as men to be part of the pirate crew. They did not know the story. And when I say that this young man was white as a ghost, holy shit, was this man white as a ghost? I thought I was going to have to call 911. Like, that's how bad it got. And again, it wasn't a super hot night. He wasn't overdressed. It wasn't anything to that nature. Everybody else felt fine. So again, take it for what it's worth. That is something I will probably tell at this stop for the rest of the time of tour, decades to come. It is a crazy story. I will also tell you, just last night, I had a team of 2. I have a team of 9 tonight, just so you guys know. 2 people. All of a sudden, guy standing right where Brian's at. He started feeling a spider web. Touch him. First off, feeling a spider web touch you is kind of a... Did your battery die?
No, I felt that on my hand at the woman's house.
Really?
Go across my fingers and like that.
Feeling spider webs when there's no spider webs present, or even a possibility of it, is one of the signs like something's going on. I normally, if you can tell, I use everything electronic. I want the proof so I can prove it. When somebody tells me that they feel a spider web and they're standing nowhere near where a spider web could even be, I even tested several bushes over here through the ivy. There was no spider web, just so you guys know. Again, we're going to spend a good 10 to 15 minutes here, depending on how much activity is going on. EMF readers, just so you know, this is not the Pinkney Mansion site. If you get anything, I'll be excited. So that's kind of how this works in this location. Again, stay away from vehicles. Those of you with video, if you want to go to the front, stay away above the doors. As you can see, very large doors already starting to come through. They may just pass by. So, bless you. I saw it coming. So, we are going to spread out, but just stay out of their way, and we are going to get you another battery. This is the spot where it actually dies at. So, his battery only lasts so long. It's nothing paranormal, nothing to be concerned with. I know what's happening. Ashton's like, man, this guy's on it. Debbie, I do want to see your list before you walk away. Just so you know. Read off to me what you have.
Are you dizzy? Feeling lightheaded?
No, I'm just tired.
I don't know where the front of the building is. Is that over there?
I don't know, it's weird. The powder room has a little yard in it.
Where's the front of the building you said I could go to? And don't I need to keep someone in my focus?
Not when you're up here.
Not when I'm what?
Like when you're at the front of the building, you don't have to.
Yeah.
So what was the name of the pirate? Bonnie Ann?
That was Mary Ann.
Marion? Was it Marion?
I don't remember.
That's on
Oh, I don't
Gilligan's
know.
Island.
I think
It's Bonnie.
It's all the same thing.
I got one. I got zero. I got that.
What was the name of the pirates again?
Anne Bonny and Mary Reed.
And Bonnie.
So we were both right. I had Mary. We're both like half right.
Okay, I said a while ago. I said,
46. That's not an answer. So I just shine it in there. Okay. So what am I really, because you saw the, like, that freaked me out with the little thing, but what am I really supposed to be looking for?
Basically, like where it's the darker blue, whatever over here, but like up off the ground.
Then I get the sky.
Not like in the sky, but like where people are.
Yeah.
And that's why my dad wanted like the temperature difference.
Yeah.
This didn't change your mind? What the hell?
What are we looking at?
Bonnie played.
98.1.
Hey Bonnie, what was your ship's name?
I'm sorry, what's that?
What? It's been doing it all night. Ah, look.
Oh, they're getting out.
What happened?
Going all the way to red. Hey Bonnie, what's your ship's name? You see.
None. What just happened?
Bonnie? Yeah, you wanna listen to this guy? Bonnie, how many people did you kill?
Has your camera been doing anything off, like, out of whack?
No, the only thing was that in that, and it's not doing it now. So like in that, I wasn't heckling. There was like a head beside her head, but it was like a.
So it'll be off a little bit.
Right.
It's normal, especially when you have a good 15 feet away from somebody.
Yeah.
Like what you had.
But it was like her head beside her head.
So the white lines that you see in there are, again, another assist. It's only measuring temperature. So
Yeah.
if it's just the surface temperature, it's not going to line up perfectly. So I kind of learned that after watching hundreds of hours of this stuff.
Yeah.
Realizing, like, what is it actually doing?
That's what creeped me out.
But with this particular spot, I've seen that camera, like, give off white lines of somebody with a spirit box, and then that spirit box stops working. Like, it does weird things in this line. So again, this is a great hit or a great miss. We never know.
So let me, because that you didn't say, I didn't hear anything about white lines earlier, but I saw like a, I don't remember.
That's almost like giving you a subliminal message, waiting for you, like, that way you're not, like, waiting for it. That's
Right.
why I normally don't tell you about it.
Yeah, so it was like off. It was like off in here, like it looked like a white line, kind of like a, had a weird shape
When I
to
say
it.
white line, I'm talking like old tube TV, white lines going through.
Oh,
like
no,
your,
I didn't do
like
that.
The snow would come through.
It didn't do that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It was
before.
like
It's the
a-
weirdest thing, and it's not the whole camera.
Yeah.
It's just over that person. It's weird. I'm gonna give this another minute or two. Nobody's like screaming out at me that they're hearing anything very significant. the parking meters.
Then over here, nothing.
Alright, I'm going to start reining Debbie in, and then we'll kind of get this party wrapped up. So go ahead and continue listening in. Debbie's across the lot. I want Maddie to continue listening. She's been the best one the whole time. Hey, Dad. Let's rein this one up. So with this one, I told you it's a super hit or a super miss. If we don't have anything in like 5 to 8 minutes or so, like it's usually a miss. So again, Anne Bonny is said to be seen all over town. I just like to bring you guys here because it's familiar. This is what Anne looked like, just so everybody kind of gets the gist of who she was. You know how hard it was to find a picture of this woman? Show the men that she killed that they were just